Good downside move right here. Mm, 74.11. Where are we here? 74.12. 74.13. And 1,000 tick indicator went off. Let's get my bearings here. VIX is at 18.7. Get to 7,400. Like to see 7,400. Oh, I forgot to adjust the straddle. Straddle's about 44 points, I believe. Looking 73.93. 74.82. Straddle that was near the centroid. 44 points. Let me see here. Yeah, 44 points. About 43 points now, but 44 point straddle. That's what I'm carrying. $74.37 open. I'd like to see us run towards 7,400. Hey, Koshik. We're at 74.10 right now. VIX is at 18.75. Managed to get any trades yesterday? Yesterday, from a gamma perspective, I took a look, and one thing that I saw was we had a call wall at 75.20-ish. And it just migrated up there. So on a gamma chart, that just looks like the dark blue area, which I'll show you in a bit. Just want to make sure we have, and we're ready to take some positions here if an opportunity should come up. Looks like one was on NQ, and the other one, not sure. I'll check it out on the chart in a bit. I assume that's a 1 minute. A 1 minute chart. Oh, I see. Oh, gotcha. Gotcha. What time was that trade roughly? Just give me 1 second here. I'm gonna see if I can tune into this vol signals. impromptu meeting that he set up. He wants to talk about the XYLD QYLD trade, which normally we start seeing signs of it at around like 10 to 1 p.m. So I kind of want to see what he has to say about it. I was kind of looking for a bit of downside leading into about 11, 10:30, 11ish. And then maybe see some positive flows after that from the QYLD, XYLD. Give me a sec here. Might have just missed a 7,400 bounce trying to figure out how to listen to this fall signals guy on his Discord. If you're long, consider taking some profit here at around 74.30, 74.25, 74.30 SPX. Just some profits. You can hold the rest, but just playing this cluster here. If you did end up longing. I'm sorry, I wasn't showing the right chart. It basically bounced from 7400 to 7430. This dealer negative strike cluster that we're just traversing. Just as an initial decent take profit point, just in case we pull back a little. If you ended up longing off the IFVG or the 5-minute massive bottom wick. Okay. Yeah, already like a decent 9-point rejection off that 74.30 level. I think that 5-minute play was actually pretty decent. 5-minute long, especially on the retracement of that 5-minute candle. Looking at the 1-minute, you get IFVG at around 47.30 ES. I think he's wrapping up now. Yeah, nothing different from what we talked about before, which was like a sell into 11:30, and then you see like the flows kind of change and you start getting like very supportive upward flows after 11:30 and through to about 1. Technically, the trade ends at around 1:30, but it's not the only flow in the book. So, damn, that rejection, that bounce off 7,400 SPX was really good, and then they gave a decent IFVG entry, I would say, off 4730 ES. So risk is still about 10 points. And then it bounced up to the edge of that cluster, 7430 SPX, which I guess equivalent is about 7450 ES. I think the difference between SPX and ES is about 20 points right now. But that was would have been a decent play. The rejection was interesting. I know I was saying if you were long, take profits. It was a good point to take profit, but it's also a good point to short just for a tiny scalp, or not even tiny. That's reasonable size scalp for about like 15 plus points. Kind of like the longs, but really wasn't expecting kind of like looking at the daily gamma chart, there's a gamma peak and a gamma trough. I was just thinking we might oscillate around there. It kind of works with Alma's levels to some degree, and also vol signals also mentioned something along those lines. But he bases his off of the gamma peak and a gamma trough on his drawings, which I think is actually at around 7430 on his VS3D drawing or platform. Yeah, for Alma, he was just saying this positioning looks like a ranging around the upside pivot or the centroid. So 7430 is the upside pivot. The centroid's at 7389 on SPX. Just going back here. And so far, it's more or less what we've been doing. Market is likely pricing in upside drift potential for primal momentum. Downside is complacently sold. So basically they're selling vol to the downside, and when you're selling vol, that means it's very supportive or slows things down from a positioning perspective, from a market maker hedging positioning perspective. Hang on, let me quickly show you yesterday's chart, gamma chart here. I'm switching over back to the gamma chart. I think peak gamma would have been at around 75.25. But you can kind of see we just gravitated up. Believe it or not, I took a short just from my phone and just quickly took profit. I think I got no more than what, 8 points or something like that. And then I was just like, forget it. I'm not even gonna trade this. And my initial, I think I would have gotten like somewhere around 10 points on my trade down here, but I didn't. I just kind of just took that scalp and wanted to forget about it and proceed with my day. I was on my phone, which is not great either. And then yeah, and then we pumped up. And looking back at Alma's report from yesterday, she was saying, yeah, she's expecting an upward drift. I think this was a high probability reversion point for her. So it gave decent. It gave like just over 10 to 15 points. And then we drifted up right towards that call wall and kind of rejected from there. Normally you end up getting like consolidation at around this call wall. And you can kind of see us moving, like staying outside of the negative gamma zone for the most part. It's trying its best to stay out of the negative gamma zone yesterday. So it kind of just squeezed up into the call wall. Today, AM positioning expired. So to the left, you kind of have two separate profiles. AM positioning, which is such a large positioning here. And that expired. And now we're left with the PM positioning on Friday. So there were like two ODT positions, if you will, or two ODT expirations that we were tracking. And it always happens on third Friday of every month, unless there's some sort of holiday. Just looking again at where we bounced, which was at around that 7,400 SPX. It made sense from a positioning perspective, but it also made sense from an ES volume profile perspective. There's a decent high volume node there sitting at around 74.15, 74.20. High value node, HVN. And that's on ES, and that's just measuring maybe back towards that's including Wednesday, May 6th and through to yesterday. It would show like a little high volume node there, and ES just wicked off of it. And then NQ wicked off the edge of I guess it's node also. So it would have been like the beginning of its. Hang on, let me see if I can show this. I forgot I had this. Okay. Yeah, see, there's this high volume node here. And it just wicked right off the edge of it. Right here, 74.21. And then NQ to about yesterday, about May 6th to yesterday. It was a little cleaner on the other drawing, but you can kind of see there's like an edge that's like forming at around here. Actually, this one is not as clean. Let's see here. Does this one go back? Oh, that should work. NQ is not as clean. That's basically what it's telling me. But oddly enough, it was an edge of some sort that's showing up on my 1 hour indicator for volume profile. It wasn't like a perfect edge by any means, but it was a drop off of some sort. Like we could have easily bounced off of, I would say around here. But I ultimately would have wanted to see like a low volume node kind of, especially off that, maybe like that sweep from May 13th, swing low there. But yeah, I kind of like it when, and this is just me doing something that's hindsight, because we saw that bounce off of 7420 on ES and 7400 on SPX. And the positioning lended itself to showing us that, hey, there's that cluster. Yeah, there's a nice cluster here between 7400. It's sandwiched by 7400 and 7430. And as soon as we get to 7400, that's when we ended up getting the bounce. I think it overshot by a few points, 3 points or something. But for the most part, it respected it. And then we bounced up. It would have been 30-point play, bottom to top. But off the IFVG, I think you probably would have got close to like 10 to 20 points, anywhere in between that range, depending on your entry. And then on top of that, you end up having the high volume node on ES. And yeah, it seemed to just work out reasonably. Shorts from 7465 ES would be nice. 7465 ES. I would really want to see some down, like a little bit of consolidation or down move. Especially if I want to play a, I don't know, let's say 11 o'clock, 11:30 long. So the 15 minutes actually look decent here for a bottom for the day. I don't know about the hour. 1 hour close looks a bit funky here. Let's check out the 15 minute. I like it when the candle looks like this. Yeah, ES ended up giving that IFVG entry again. NQ went a little bit further, but see, we end up getting that positive drift. Here's VWAP. Pretty sizable gap to the upside too. It essentially gapped the gap from yesterday. I think vol signals, I was going back through his videos from yesterday talking about um, the overnight price action and where we might go, and he was saying that if we hang out under 7,500, we're likely to kind of spool down maybe towards 74.75 and then 74.50, but we ended up running down towards 7,400, so that caught him by surprise. VIX is coming down after peaking at 19.2, 19.3. It's coming back down towards, right now we're sitting at 18.5 with a decent gap too. And you also have the Trump and China meeting. The UK 30-year yield climbs to 20 bips to 5.86%. That is pretty crazy. Highest since 1998. China's President Xi is going to visit the US in autumn. Interesting. China Foreign Minister on ties to the US. Teams on both sides are still working on details for outcomes on trade. Of course, he wants a straight open as soon as possible. Trump on Taiwan. I'm not looking to travel 9,500 miles to fight a war. That's absurd, isn't it? Like, how far are we from... How far is the US from Iran? Looks like we're already starting the positive drift up. I hope you get the rejection at 65. I hate that like the positive drift is already happening this early. Hopefully it rejects 6.5 and then comes back down towards maybe 4.5. And then we get the gap fill. That would be epic. I personally don't see anything at 6.5 ES. But I do see some levels around like 6.9, 70, 71. But hopefully you get it. Like a decent setup. Kind of has some SNT here between ES and NQ. And the 650 highs. Oh yeah, you are definitely getting your play. What the heck did you see there? Well done. Yeah, that was most definitely. It's like you're looking at magic. can kind of see it, but on the gamma chart it was interesting to see. Maybe like a 15-point play off there. Basically a zero gamma rejection. The zero gamma is constantly adjusting too, so kind of makes it a little hard. But curious to hear, once you're done your trade, what you saw at 65. Three. 43. My conservative take profit would be 74.30 SPX, which we're about 2 points from. That would be my conservative take profit, just as like my first take profit. And then you can let the others run. When you're out of your trade, you gotta tell me what you saw there. Well done. I'm getting some contradictory signals here from a price action candle analysis perspective between time frames. So I'm not certain. It's hard to tell what we would end up doing. Okay, so tell me what you saw on 65 or at 65, and if it was worthwhile entering at 65 as like a limit order. I obviously in hindsight it looks good, but I guess the question is how much conviction you have at 65 rejection. Equal body highs on the 15-minute. Equal body highs on the 15-minute. And I don't know. Equal body highs. Oh, I see. Okay. I understand now. That's basically where the OB starts. Like, I guess from an ICT perspective, order block, right? It's not bad. That was a decent play. Like it ran up to 67. 65 is decent entry. 65. I'm looking at the volume profile here. Just wanted to see. Yeah, I see like an edge at 64 and another edge at 67. So technically it traversed the entire low volume node or low value node. So not bad. Not bad at all. I've never really followed Bollinger Bands, but I've always seen it as like volatility, like trying to see volatility, like consolidation versus volatility. I tried using it a long time ago, but I just couldn't find any consistent read off of it for my purposes. So I kind of gave up on it. So I think this is the IFVG retest on the 1 minute. So if we drop down, we should drop down here. But the 74.30 was like a very decent bounce spot in my opinion, and we got that bounce. I'm just looking at positioning and the positioning clusters, if you will, similar to this morning. And these are like 15-point clusters. Like if you short it off of, what was that high anyways? 74.47, 74.47. So the edge of this cluster basically. And 4.7 would have actually coincided with your 6.5 entry on ES. Oh no, not 4.7. Sorry, 4.5. 4.5. 4.7 is the high, so 4.7 would have been the equivalent of 6.7. Okay. And then I run back down to 74.30 on SPX. And this is what I want to see here. I just want to see a little bit of like consolidation, messing around in this range between 74.40 and 74.60, hopefully. Yeah, I don't think so. Damn it. Yeah, an IVG re-entry. Like this morning was a good one, right? So I should have went in, but I was stuck on that call. I was trying to listen to what if Vol Signals would have any additional insight on the XYLD QYLD trade today. I forget which one it is, but it's one or the other. Probably X. I think it's XYLD because it's not a quarterly expiration. But I mean, even after the call, in theory, I could have went long at around 74.30, 74.31 ES towards your 6.5 target. It's crazy because like the 15-minute, I would want to short that too. Like your entry was like had you entered at 65, like blind entry, you would have sat through 2 points of stop loss and then I don't know, made somewhere around 10 points, 15 points, sorry. And also that 640, 650 high, the swing high there, ES did not sweep it and NQ did sweep it. So it was like a really nice SMT that happened there too. $74.58 entry, yeah. $74.58 entry would actually be, so I think that's probably, if I was paying closer attention, that 5-minute top wick was a really nice one for me. One thing I found about my trading that kind of infuriates me is that when I try to play for large plays, like 20 points, 20 points plus, I don't often get it. And what's worse is, like, I wouldn't take profit either. I'm just riding it through to like maybe possibly break even, and then I would break even, and then maybe it hits my target afterwards, or it just break even trade and then it would have lost. But if if I take profit at like 10 points, 10 to 15 points, shoot, let's even say 7 to 12 points, I would probably have a much better win rate if my take profit was around there, and my account would look so much better too. It's only when I'm like holding for a very large trade and then I don't get it, it kind of messes with my psyche too. And then yeah, that's the one thing I kind of find with my trading. Like if I can enter, let's say, a 2ES trade or 15 MES maybe, just for a bit of comfort. If I can take profit at that 7 to 12 mark and then just kind of let the other side ride through, I think I would be better off at catching, if I had runners, if you will. But yeah, that's the one thing that I noticed about my trading is if I just went for the 10-point average ES take profits, I would fare a lot better. Hovering around 0 gamma at the moment. That's 0 gamma on an intraday perspective, but a daily perspective, you have the gamma peak. I'm kind of getting SMT here too on a lower time frame. Oh, nice. I can see why you want to short. I can definitely see why you want to short. Because this time it's going to hit your target. I'm probably just going to hold off a little. I kind of want to see what happens at around 11 o'clock, where we're at. If we do pull back, I may consider a long. And I'm hoping that we pull back towards like 74.40 ES. Maybe 4.5 is like the real bounce spot, but yeah, somewhere around there would be nice. Straddle now measuring at 33. I'm getting some decay in the straddle finally. 33 from here still takes us to about 7,400 SPX. And then 7470 ES. SPX. 7470-ish. Nice. There you go. Let's go. I'm still worried about 7430, but 7430 SPX, which we're at right now, it's kind of like pretty loose because oftentimes you can kind of like move 5 points down or 5 points up from there. So it's like a pretty loose kind of target if I'm using OptionsDepth breakdown by strike. You're definitely getting it. It's looking pretty good. Run down another 5 points and your initial take profit's good. Or that's a hope anyways. Give me a second. I'll be right back. There you go. I think that was your take profit, right? I can't believe it's almost 11 already. Did you, I don't think you said, but did you end up getting your take profit? Kind of just went quiet on me there. Oh yeah, yeah. I asked you, made a comment about your take profit. You probably got your take profit, right? Are you targeting AM lows? I see. I see. I'm kind of torn here. I believe in upside. Yeah, I kind of believe in the upside, but I'm a little torn here. I kind of want to see the next half hour kind of play out. And Yeah, decent downward push here. Yeah, this is the consolidation kind of move I wanted to see. You think we'll reach? You think we'll reach low of day? I wonder why you think that. I mean, if we hit low of day, I'm gonna be very tempted to long off of there. The volume imbalance on the 15 minutes at 74.32 half on ES 15 minute. Pretty close to the value area low. I see. little torn here. If we do get it, I think there's a good chance I long. Something funky is happening here. Very funky stuff here. Just still consolidating. Still a little early for me to want to hit the long here. VIX is still trickling down. What the heck? They're going to make this hard. Oh, I see. That's why. Then it's still negative. Let's see here. Still got until about 11:30. This chop because of the mixed charm. Yeah, charm is suppressive. And then you're in positive gamma too. But ultimately, I think it's just we haven't really done much. Like we've still been stuck in this 7400, 7440 kind of range between the gamma trough and the gamma peak from the daily levels. I think charm is really weak right now. Oh, it's not really weak, but it's not strong either. But yeah, we're just hovering around that 7430 upside pivot that Alma talked about. And the market needs volatility at the pivot, but ODT bets against that. Before the target, there's a weak reversion probability at 7470. So the target's at like 7500, 7497 SPX. But her pivot is at 7430. The target is magnetic. Okay, yes. For me, this positioning looks like a range around the upside pivot, which is 7430 or the centroid. And so far, we've been doing exactly that. So if we run back towards centroid, you get your TP. Shadow at 1022. Let's see. Shadow spot graph. I'll send you it. Around 1022, it looks like shadow is sitting around 30, 35, 36. But if we hang out here any longer, I think we're going to go up. Kind of want to try it. But I think it's still a little early for me to try it. And I might get stopped out early. Don't want that. Okay, I'm going to give this a shot. I'm going to try the long. It might hurt though. But it's still a little early for me, but like I feel like this can come down one more in the next 10 minutes or so. and then start moving up from there. Yeah, I tried the long, but horrible entry. And there's still some time. Like, I think this can wick down. Still a lot of time. I got like 10 minutes. Here, 1 second. Just so you can see, let me transition over to my other chart. At this point, I'm just like a sitting duck. But I essentially want to see this run towards like 74.70-ish on SPX. And it's going to be a true test of the negative gamma pocket. So it would truly need to pump into the negative gamma pocket to just start its like run up. I don't love the entry, but I'm just gonna hold at this point. 15. It was more based off of the 15-minute chart, if I have to say, and you can see it pretty well on NQ. So I'll transition over there so you can see. Now the ADMA gets me in trouble sometimes, so I don't always play it, but there's certain candle closes around the ADMA that I really like. And the 15-minute ES was more or less the same. But yeah, at this point, I am waiting for... for price action to pump into the negative gamma area to really run up. That's no guarantee, of course. And finally lose this 74.40 peak gamma influence on a daily level. But I would like to see 74.70 on SPX. Yeah, we still got 7 minutes before the XYLD trade starts. pretty decent rejection there. But I'm paying attention to the 15-minute right now. And the 5-minute, of course, but and then I'm also watching the OptionsDepth chart just to kind of see where price action is, how positioning kind of updates around that. But this 5-minute close doesn't like look great for me. No real positioning update from what we've seen. Still hanging around at 74.30 level. All right, this 15-minute looks like it's going to close okay. So another 2 minutes and 17 seconds or so for that 15-minute close. So still lots of time. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not loving like the 5-minute, the way the 5-minute looks, but it's a lot of consolidation here. The 15-minute would be the tell for me. The 5-minute suggests we're headed lower. No, stops are still at the 74.4175. If it was break even, I would have already gotten hit out. But I think my stops are gonna hit. So now the buying should start. And we consolidated so well. Because the XYLD, they picked their strikes at around 11 o'clock. And then in theory, the market, like, they cause a buy up at around 11:30 when they start executing their trades over the next 2 hours. Hour and a half to 2 hours. It doesn't mean we go straight up for 2 hours. It just means that the market has supportive flows. So it depends what the market was doing prior to that. And what other flows are in the market essentially. But ES is like really slow here. SPX is really slow here too. NQ looks like it's moving a little bit better, but nothing there. This phenomenon is like not, it's not like a hard set rule. It doesn't happen all the time. It's really dependent on what the other flows are doing. So I'm watching this very cautiously. And we're coming right back down. This is a nasty, nasty range. We're just kind of playing it off the 15-minute chart here. Measure the point range between 947, 947, okay, and 1022 high, around straddle range. Oh yeah, it's 47 points. Yeah, we have already moved 47 points. Yeah, understood. And I really thought about moving to break even, but golly. It is just pinned here at 74.53. We went almost 10 points from my original entry. There you go. Come on, let's go. I'm gonna be a cheerleader now. Yep, my cheerleading is not working. Let's see what the straddle's at now. Straddle's at 28.6, so we're decaying slowly. Alright, VIX seemed to have bottomed out a little here. This is like grossly slow. Like, what is it even doing? NQ is running up slightly, and then YM is pulling down slightly. But NQ almost swept its intraday high there. Oh yeah, this doesn't look great anymore. Yeah, it does seem like that. It definitely seems like that. It's going to choose a direction soon, though. And it might be down. Looking at this. YM's pulling back. Just hovering around that POC for the most part. Still watching the 15-minute right now. I think you also got like a bit of ES and Q divergence there at the high. One minute time frame, but still hovering at 74.30 on SPX. If Alma's theory is correct, we are headed down, so 74.30 upside pivot down to Centroid. And if we run down to Centroid, it's on you. Your TP will hit. Yeah, this 15 minutes not looking great. YM's pushing down here. And we can't seem to push into the negative gamma. So I have to think that we're just gonna like hover in the positive gamma for the most part. So far, Alma's take has been spot on. Yeah. Wait, when did you already move to break even? Yeah, there's a rundown. 15-minute basically says, hey, yeah, down. And it's gonna close that way too. I think that ticked me out. I'm out. Oh, your initial trade, I see. Yeah, the initial trade was pretty good, especially with that IFVG retest on the 1 minute. Actually, I don't know how that looked on the 2 minute. Let's see, I know you tracked the two. Yeah, I don't think there was an IFVG on the 2 minute that high. I think you get one at around 74.59. So technically you entered around there, right? So that was still good. Man, this is ugly. Like, this to me suggests that price action wants down, but there's a counterflow right now that's kind of holding us up. There's NQ. NQ's finally pushing a little bit harder than and boy is this ugly. It's looking good on your end. And VIX is actually pushing up here. Bottomed out at 18. Now it's at 18.5-ish, around there. Oh man, they're not with me either. Shoot, if I was happy with like that 8 to 10 point trade long, I could have just taken profit and all my chips would be off the table. But right now it looks pretty good for you, so yeah, it looks really good. Interesting spot here. Value area low. Oil has actually been climbing right now. We're back at 101 on WTI. After kind of hanging out at around the high 90s, mid to high 90s. For most of the week. But today, like, it's so slow right now. Holy cow. That was the 15-minute ESVI that we were talking about earlier as an initial target when you were holding your initial trade. So that was at 74.32.25 to 0.5 on ES. Decent bounce from there so far, but this thing still is creeping lower, so trying to creep lower anyways. but I'm kind of surprised that the straddle was so high to start off the day. I know we got a decent sell-off and volatility kind of kicked up, but man, 44 points is pretty high. I didn't check the straddle yesterday, but let me see if I can see if someone requested it yesterday. Yeah, yesterday's straddle at around 8 o'clock was 29. So nothing too crazy. Let me see. Yeah, shadow price looks like it was just around 30 to start. Yeah, okay. You're going to be in this trade until Monday. At this rate, it's just so slow. Yeah, what I'm seeing is like the flow wants down, but that XYLD trade is causing some supportive flows too, which is why we're ending up with like this really nasty price action. As you said, the algos are fighting each other, and they totally are. Really thought about a long again there. But no. I have to refrain myself. Yeah, you too. Have a nice weekend. You're just gonna hold until it breaks, I guess, one way or the other, right? But yeah, I think I'm gonna call it a weekend too. I don't really want to mess around with this. I'll watch it just to kind of see if something comes up. But yeah, this is not fun to watch by any means. Nice, awesome. All right, take care. Have a good weekend.